Are you here to find out how to freeze your Georgia property taxes? Then you are in the right place. One of the most important things I learned many years ago as a Georgia property owner is how to freeze my property taxes 3 years at a time. It has served me and my business associates well. When you freeze your property taxes for 3 years at a time, you don't have to worry about property tax increases each and every year. This is one benefit of being a Georgia property owner. As I make this video in April of 2025, tax appeal season is upon us. I want you as a Georgia property owner to be prepared for it. Tens of thousands of Georgia annual assessment notices go out starting in late April, with many tens of thousands more to follow through July. It's imperative that you be prepared as property values continue to surge upwards, which are breaking people's homeownership budgets. A recent Wall Street Journal talked about this very real issue. Yes, home equity is going up, but it comes with a real price and a hit to your finances. When your property taxes skyrocket, it drains your bank account. As most people know, property values started surging in 2020 and it has continued until recently for 5 straight years. But just because property values keep surging every year doesn't mean your property taxes have to increase every year if you own property in Georgia. The basis of how to freeze property taxes lies in Georgia's property tax appeal process. But it isn't just about filing a tax appeal. You have to follow a certain path. It's not hard to do, but it does require you to pay attention to specific steps and seeing the process through to the end. You can't just start it and then abandon it. For the last few years, I've made videos where I teach people how to file property tax appeals. I update my videos with the latest information available at the time of recording. The biggest change happened last year is that House Bill 581 passed and took effect January 1, 2025. Because of HB 581, I've had to update a few videos. I've also updated my book, Tax Freeze: How to File and Win Property Tax Appeals in Georgia. It's my biggest update yet. The updated book is available on Amazon in Kindle ebook format for $10. It's also available in business paperback format for a few bucks more. What I will cover in this video is the big picture roadmap you need to travel within Georgia's tax appeal process to get your tax freeze. Many uninformed people, if they even bother filing property tax appeals at all, only appeal for that year's assessed value. But when I file tax appeals for myself and my business associates, I do it with the mindset of reducing the assessed value and then freezing it for 3 tax years. Let me explain how. Each year, the assessed value is based on property values as of January 1 of that tax year. Because I'm making this video in April of 2025, I'm going to use the 2025 tax appeal season as my example. For the 2025 tax appeal season, assessed values are supposed to reflect values as of January 1, 2025. Property values for January 1, 2025 are supposed to be based on sales comps from 2024. That means January 1 to December 31st of 2024. No sales values in 2025 are supposed to count. Most people, including real estate agents, won't know this until they have been taught this. They are accustomed to pulling sales comps for the most recent months, not for the previous calendar year. Assessed values provided to you by tax assessors are often wrong because of the many flaws of the mass appraisal system. It's just impossible for any county to personally inspect each and every property every year. This is a big reason why the tax appeal process exists. It's there for citizens to use and help catch flaws and mistakes with the underlying mass appraisal system. In summary, remember that when you file a tax appeal in 2025, you must look at 2024 sales values. This is very important to know because sales prices in 2025 have climbed past 2024 sales values. You want to lock down the 2024 values while you still can. The benefit of you appealing your assessment now and freezing 2024 property values is that you won't have to deal with property tax increase until 2028. Doesn't that sound great? As I said earlier, whenever I file tax appeals in Georgia, I always do it with the 3-year tax freeze in mind. You should too. You get certainty and peace of mind. If you go into any tax assessor's office and ask about how to get a 3-year tax freeze, they may not understand you. It's a colloquial term, not a proper technical term. It's a simple phrase I use to teach and get the concept across. It's better known as the 299C. 299C is short code for Georgia Statute 48-5-299C, which details how the value freeze works. HB 581 made an important change to the 299C tax freeze that went into effect January 1, 2025. There's no tax assessor's office that I know of that will give you an easy to understand roadmap of how to do this like I do in this video or in my book. They do the bare minimum in teaching and informing the public. To be fair, they aren't really in the education or advisory business. At best, they will speak in broad and vague terms, leaving you to figure out the details out. You aren't going to get all the detailed explanations and instructions you might want. But I've got good news for you. This video will provide you a basic roadmap of understanding. This is the roadmap I've followed for years to get my 3-year property tax freezes in Georgia. Keep in mind that there are 159 counties in Georgia. My experience comes from having filed over 250 tax appeals across 6 Georgia counties. That means there might be some small differences in specific counties. Beware of these small differences. However, the big picture should still be the same for all Georgia counties. In order to get your 3-year property tax freeze in Georgia, you need to file a tax appeal regardless of whether you agree or disagree with the property value on your annual assessment notice. Unless you just bought your property recently, many of you have lived in your property or have tenants who occupied your property for some time. As such, there will be damage, wear and tear, and maintenance issues which will lower and depreciate the property value. Trust me, there hasn't been a property I haven't inspected that I couldn't find something imperfect with it. As a side note, there's something I need to talk to you about right now. My cat Lexi wants you to swipe that like button so that this video is shared to more homeowners and property owners like you who might need this information. And as a special bonus, if you hit that subscribe button, I will make sure Lexi gets a special treat. People don't realize that the majority of homes sold on the open market are in cleaned up, fixed up, retail-ready condition. As such, values from sales comps skew high compared to lived-in, occupied homes with real-life wear and tear. You have to think realistically that if you were to sell your lived-in or tenant-occupied property right now that hasn't been cleaned up or fixed up in as-is condition, would you really get the prices shown in sales comps? Probably not. This is one big reason why most assessment notices are wrong. You can test the value on your assessment form by filling out your county's appeal form, the PT-311-A form. You list what you think the market value is in its lived-in, occupied condition with all the current defects and wear and tear as of January 1, 2025. I have a separate video which goes into more detail on how to fill out the PT-311-A tax appeal form. I will have a link in the video description below. There is no specific formula I can give you now to follow because properties and areas are so different throughout Georgia. But I generally recommend writing a lower value than a higher value. You don't want to hurt your own appeal efforts by finding out you overestimated the actual value. I've made this mistake many times over the years. It upsets me when it happens because I end up sabotaging myself later in the tax appeal process. So don't make this kind of mistake like I have. Writing in and fighting for a lower property value generally means you will pay less in property taxes. The worst that can happen is that the tax assessor's office will disagree with you and your value. When you fill out and submit your tax appeal form to the tax assessor's office, you will generally get a written response within 100 days. However, in recent years, tax appeals have surged in volume, so it might take longer in some counties. You need to call your tax assessor's office and follow up. The next step is crucial. One of two things will happen. You will either get a no change notice, which means they have elected to keep the value they sent you, or you will receive a revised assessment notice with a lowered value. If you get a no change notice, which is happening more often nowadays, your case is automatically forwarded to the BOE. BOE stands for Board of Equalization. The BOE will send you a letter with the date, time, location for your BOE hearing. If you get a revised assessment notice, even if you agree with it, regardless of the lowered value, you must continue the appeal to get your 299C tax freeze. I know it sounds strange, but procedurally, it's the only way to get your tax freeze. You must continue the appeal. You continue the appeal by writing and sending a short letter to the tax assessor's office. A sample of my continuation letter can be found in my book. Some counties will provide you a free form letter for you to use. There is nothing fancy or complicated about it. When you continue your appeal, it will then be forwarded to the BOE for scheduling. The BOE is a department within your county superior court. They will send you a letter with the date, time, and location of your BOE hearing. The good news is you might not have to attend, but the formality of scheduling a BOE hearing will still occur. Once your tax appeal gets to the BOE, one of two things can happen. The worst case scenario is that you will have to attend the BOE hearing in person. The best case scenario is that you will have an opportunity to speak or meet with a county appraiser to settle your tax appeal case. Often you can do this over the phone. But if they don't, there is nothing to stop you from initiating the call yourself. Settling appeals happens a lot in the metro Atlanta counties because of the sheer volume of tax appeals each year. If they can reasonably settle tax appeals, they will. If you agree to settle your tax appeal with the tax assessor's office, they will email you a settlement form to sign. That settlement form should reference the 299C, which effectively means you are also securing your 3-year tax freeze. Your signed settlement form will then be forwarded to the board for final approval. Keep a copy of the signed settlement form for your records. As a clarification, a 3-year tax freeze essentially freezes the property value for that year filed plus 2 additional tax years. By freezing the property value, you then freeze your property tax. Using a 2025 tax appeal as an example, you reduce the value for 2025, it counts as tax year 1, and that value is frozen for tax years 2026 and 2027. That means you won't have to worry about it until tax year 2028. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Going back to the worst case scenario, if the tax assessor's office will not settle with you for whatever reason, in order to get the 3-year tax freeze, you or someone you designate must plan to attend the BOE hearing. BOE hearings in metro Atlanta counties last 15 minutes. In other counties, you might get 20 minutes. BOE hearings are definitely short. A few counties allow you to remotely attend a BOE hearing via Zoom video conferencing. It's convenient and worth asking about. If you have multiple properties you are appealing, call the BOE office and ask that your appeals be scheduled at the same date and time. It's much more efficient for everyone for you to attend one long BOE hearing than coming back multiple times. Years ago, I attended a BOE hearing on behalf of myself and a landlord I represented. Although we were scheduled to be there all day, it took us 2 hours to get through the BOE hearings for the 20 properties scheduled because we knew what we were there for and we were efficient about it. Not all BOE hearings are that speedy with multiple properties, but our case shows what's possible if everything is aligned. We were there to get a value reduction and a 3-year tax freeze for every property we appealed. A pleasant experience was had by all because we did our part to make it easy for the BOE judges and the representative for the tax assessor's office. Ideally, you as a property owner will attend the BOE hearing with evidence in hand. You will present your side to the BOE panel. The tax assessor's office will then present their side to the BOE panel. At the end, the BOE panel will make their decision. You get a signed BOE determination letter with the value they decided upon. Sometimes they give it to you right on the spot. Sometimes they will mail it to you. It depends on the county you are in. What's important to know before you leave the BOE hearing is if you got a value reduction. If the value was reduced, it will be effective for the current year plus 2 additional tax years. That means you are set for tax years 2025, 2026, and 2027. And you shouldn't have to worry about it again until tax year 2028. Now, there are some rare conditions in which you can lose the 299C tax freeze, but that's the topic of another video I made. I will have a link to that video in the description area below. In years past, it didn't matter if you got a value reduction. You would automatically get your 299C tax freeze. As of 2025, that is no longer the case. According to HB 581, you must get a value reduction to get your tax freeze, even if it's only $1 reduction. there is a good chance that if you show up and make a good faith effort, this will be a non-issue. The BOE panel will give you a value reduction of some kind so that you are eligible for the 299C tax freeze. You should look for this in your BOE determination letter before you leave the building if possible. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I believe the change made to the 299C by the HB 581 was because of people who abused the system. They did no work or provide any evidence in their appeals, but still got their 299C tax freeze. Well, those days are over for those folks. Last thing, if you unavoidably miss your BOE hearing or can't find someone to be your agent due to some emergency, you might still be able to get your 299C tax freeze. But this unusual scenario goes beyond the scope of this video. If you want to learn more about the entire Georgia tax appeal process and the 299C tax freeze, I recommend you get a copy of my book. It's available on Amazon for $10 for the Kindle ebook version. It's a great deal. I also have a paperback version for a few dollars more. The next video you should watch is how to fill out Georgia's tax appeal form, the PT-311-A form, and I will see you in that video.